Hi everyone. So nice to see all of you here at the PSA Squash TV live on Facebook. I know you expect maybe a bit of squash, but as you can see, I'm just sitting down and waiting to answer all your questions. I hope you all are doing well and keeping safe and also staying at home for those who have to still be in quarantine. I hope you all are keeping well. And I just want to have this chance to share with all of you today and answer your questions. So let's get it started. How did you first get into squash? Well, I started playing squash when I was 5 years old. In Penang, there was this first public squash center that was built at the time, and it was built by my dad's friend. So he actually invited my dad to bring my sisters and myself along. But at the time, I was really small. I was 5 years old, and the racket was still bigger than me. So my sisters actually took some lessons after school. I joined them in those times, but they were having lessons, and I was sitting outside doing nothing, and just hoping and praying that I could get a chance to get on the squash court. So my dad actually found a way to get a wooden racket, cut into half, and made it smaller for me so that I had a chance to play with my sisters. And before you know it, I loved it so much, and I kept playing it ever since. So yeah, and it's all happened in Penang. Okay, the next one is, if you could play a match with any squash player, living or dead, who would it be? I would say Jahangir Khan. I think he is the pinnacle of top squash, and he is like textbook squash. And I used to watch him play and follow his technique, what he did, all his tactics, and he was really amazing and still amazing. And I wish I could just get on court to just feel what it's like to just have him hit the ball at me, or maybe give me a few pointers on court as well. So yeah. And so yeah, I've been now based in my second base here in Colombia. It's been really great here, even though with the COVID-19, a lot of quarantine here as well, like all over the world. I'm staying put, staying at home, doing the necessary, and the quarantine has been extended to the 25th or 26th of May, so I have to wait till then. But some people are already starting to go out for businesses in Colombia because they need to survive somehow. So at the moment, I'm just staying put, doing some workouts in the house, keeping some activity going on 4, 5, 6 times a week. I think I'm doing more training than I have been just after I retired. So I'm feeling a little fitter now and starting to learn how to cook, because at some point you have to survive as well, having to cook some new things using the oven for the first time, grilling and baking. So that's been quite fun. So, all right, let's see. I got some questions coming in. Hi, Nicol from Muhammad Hussein. Hello, Nicol. As one of the best players of squash in the world, would you still trade your World Championships with Olympic gold? I remember saying that statement when I won my 6 World Championships. If I would trade all my 6 world titles for that 1 Olympic gold medal. But right now, as we go on and we campaign to get squash into the Olympic Games, I think the appeal has been lost. You know, the games is really changing its priority to work towards the fun sports, like really exciting, and for the young sports like breakdancing and wall climbing, surfing. So with squash, we tried so hard to keep into that those criteria, but at the same time, the Olympics don't want squash. So I feel like right now I will still keep my World Championship titles, and hopefully one day some other person will get a chance to play in the Olympic Games and get that medal. All right. What other questions do I have? Rahul Vasista. Are you taking up coaching in Malaysia? I'm actually going to be doing some camps, not full-time coaching. I'm going to help out with the squash there, just help with the national team and also with some of the juniors that need some assistance. And also I'm doing some squash camps. I did some in the US, in Denison University, and that was a lot of fun. I haven't had a chance to do full-on camps, so to be sharing my squash knowledge and some experience that I have with the students have been very fulfilling for me, and that they were really excited to learn and absorb as much information as possible. So yeah, maybe in Malaysia, I'll be doing more events and helping out with some of the juniors in time. All right, thanks for your questions. All right, who's next? Aizat Amdan, who do you think is the best Malaysian player now? For the women's, I think we haven't had them playing each other so fully at this point. I think Loh Wee Wen is still at the top with Siva Sanggari. They are battling it out, and you have Rachel Arnold that's really pushing the way, and all the juniors coming up with Aifa Asman and her sister. So very exciting times for Malaysian squash. And for the men, I think Ian Yao is really kicking the turbo button up because he's so hungry to improve and get better. And with Ivan also there to go forward because he's so talented. So yeah, those are the few on the top right now. Next is Nicol, what role does faith play in your career in squash? Michael Xavier Woon, he said, what role does faith play in your career and outside of squash? For me, my faith is very personal. It has contributed a lot in my squash success, and I think it's just nice to have a belief system, and I think a lot of athletes have that too, to just feel like a sense of comfort that there is a higher power to take over, and you don't fully have to depend on what you have. It's just you just do the work, and then you just have to let another source take over. So I've had a very good journey in my squash career, and my faith has been part and parcel of my success and my achievements as well. So yeah. Lina Abdullah, where's your next trip after Colombia? My next trip will be Malaysia, and I'm hoping that everything is going to be settled by then in terms of traveling restrictions, and I think it's going to be a little tough to travel anytime soon with the COVID-19 situation. Airports are all closed right now in Colombia at the moment, but they are doing probably international flights later on. So I have to wait and see how it goes. And straight after this next trip will be Malaysia. I'll go back to Malaysia and I'll be doing some commitments there, a lot of work that I have postponed during this time. So I have to catch up on the last quarter of the year for sure. But yeah. Okay. Next up is Paul Serrao. How different is the competition now compared to when you started? The competition is always gonna keep changing according to when at that moment the different players, the different styles, and I think when I was coming through, I think it was all very high quality still, and everybody's fighting to get to number one, and that's always been the case. There's also different scoring, different tin height, so the game is a little different, maybe extended rallies, so you have sometimes 80 short rallies, 100 short rallies, which you don't really necessarily get that at this moment, but it changes. Players come in and they sometimes change the tactics, and and go for maybe more attacking shots. And when the Egyptians also came in, they really brought that forward a lot more. And the competition now with the lower team and the scoring as well as making it more like vibrant and exciting to see who's going to take it first. So you have to take those calculated risks and to really go for it. And knowing my style is I'm not fully in that style, but I had to learn. I had to grow and be a better squash player by learning all new styles and learning how to keep up with these different kind of competitions when it arises. All right, good question. Next one, let's see. If there's one single thing that you can change in your entire squash journey, what would that be? From Rajendra Balakrishnan. If there's one single thing that you could change, I wouldn't change anything, to be honest, but a lot of people ask me this question, and I would probably remind myself to take a bit more time to appreciate my success or my wins and just absorb it, give myself a bit more appreciation of those wins, and instead of just going like a machine, going forward, next one, the next one, the next one. Because that was what I was trained for. I was wanting to improve, I wanted to get better. So I think I would probably change a little bit on the fact that I should be more appreciative with what I did and how I achieved all that I've achieved at each moment, and savor it. That would probably be what I would change. All right, good questions, you guys. Thanks for sending them through. I'm quite excited to see what's next. Okay, what is the one key attribute required to be a world champion? From Zorab Chong. One key attribute. I think it's the willingness to do whatever it takes to get to world number one. You have people that want to be world number one and want to get there, and they see the vision and the goal. But if you have this one key attribute, that is you do whatever it takes. So you will learn, you'll be open to learning, you'll be open to grow, you'll be open to change things that you need to change. You have to prepare to get your mind completely sound, and those things are all very difficult to tap on because we have habits that we build. But if you're willing to break those things down and be patient about it, I think that will be one of the key attributes to be a world champion. All right. Next one. Over the past 2 decades. So I think this is how many hours of training is required to become world champion, do you think? This is from Chaudhary Nasir Anwar. How many hours of training? Well, for me, I used to do 2 to 4 hours a day, 6 days a week of training. That's my routine, and it was different in different seasons of my career. I stepped it up a lot more with my training regime in the middle, from when I was in 2008 to 2012 or 13. Those years I really stepped up my training, and it was really intense, and I had a lot of sports in the Sports Institute of Malaysia has given me a lot of input to improve my physical attributes. And also with Liz, my coach, we went deep dive into a lot of small refining details to get better. And with my mental coach, my sports psychologist, we went into so much more details in different opponents, how to use my game plans for each opponent, making sure I minimize negativity that comes in my mind, and all these attributes to get me stronger every time. So it's not just the training, but it's actually a lot of it outside of my training was very crucial as well. The hours that I put in to practice those mental training routines and visualization. So all those stuff are also is one part of the training part that contributes to being a world champion. All right. Next up, Jason Zimmerman. Hi, Nicole. Thank you for all the input and value you have put into the sport. If there's one thing you could change in squash to make it better and more popular, what should it be? With squash, we've actually been doing a lot of changes to grow the sport. I wish that the squash would be on mainstream TV. That is the ultimate goal. If we can get onto that visibility and at the same time penetrating into the US, they really know how it's done, and we can break through a lot of different barriers that has been in our way. But so far with Squash TV and how it's grown globally and it's now all over the world, we can do that in so many ways through what we have currently, and then just give it a big boost in the US and find good ways to get corporate companies to really take on this story that squash has that is so powerful, and also to feature our athletes. I think that's so important. Our personalities with our squash players are so great, and we need to bring their personalities out there so much more. And that's how you can really make the sport grow. And we are doing a lot of that now with interviews with players, now with the quarantine, and understanding their story. And I think that's the most important part too. All right, good question. Okay, next. Let's see who else. How your life has been different since this pandemic affected everybody around the world. You are an active person, so how you cope with this quarantine time? From Hanan. How has the pandemic affected everybody around the world? And my life been different since then? To be honest, my life has been great during this time. I have been so busy before the pandemic was happening. I've been traveling so much. And I think this was like a forced rest for me to stay in one place and not move so much. And that has given me some time to refresh, get my mind in place of what plans I want to do next. Also having more time to look after myself, my health, working out with a high intensity as well, and feeling good with those moments. So nothing much has been changed, but it's just the work commitments that I have in Malaysia that has moved, and now I'm doing everything online, which also works out somehow. But that's probably the biggest change. And staying connected with my family, my friends, online, on Zoom calls. I never knew what Zoom was until this pandemic came in. So it's been nice, and having good conferences online, speaking to students, and having courses to share my experience as well has been great. All right. Who did you least like playing? Matthew Stone. Who did you least like playing? Anybody from the Egyptian pool, I would say are the least that I like playing, because I have to run to every single shot that they have played and trying to guess what they're trying to do. So any Egyptian is definitely on the list of the least like playing person. All right, next. Z, hi Z. What are your personal goals now you have retired? My personal goals would be to give back as much as I can. With my experience, I was fortunate that Z, she's from a great platform for university students. I have a chance to share my story and also give them a little insight of what made me successful. And that's been an exciting time for me. And that's one of my personal goals. If I can find a way to give back to Malaysia, the community, with the women that need support in being empowered, or because I'm a living story that I'm a Malaysian female athlete that came from Penang, and striving to be the best. And I became a world number one and world champion in squash. And I want to do that for our community, our Malaysian juniors, the girls and boys coming through, and women to just stand strong and be powerful in their own way. So that's my personal goal, and also just to travel. I think my personal goal to go around the world without my squash racket and have an enjoyable time with my life, to see the world in a whole different way. So yeah. All right, great questions, everyone. Let's see. As an average, how many hours do you sleep? Rama Chris, as an average, how many hours do you sleep? I probably sleep around, say, 7 hours or so, 7-8 hours a day. I just love my sleep. My coach told me that I was the queen of sleep and rest, and if I had a chance to have naps in the day, I would make the most of those naps. But usually I'll sleep about 7 to 8 hours a day. All right. Next one. Do you like football? Someone said, do you like football? No, I don't follow football. So the next question, if you do, would you think is currently the best? If so, who do you think is the best midfielder? No idea. But I know a lot of football fans out there would love to share with me who is your best midfielder in football. Next, how did you feel to say goodbye to the court as the most successful female player in history of squash? So from Muhammad Navid, he asked me, how did it feel to say goodbye to the court as the most successful female player in history of squash? It really is an honor to actually be known as the most successful squash player in the history of squash. I was just so thankful and grateful that everybody has seen my journey in my squash career. I never fully understood it until I retired, and I'm very proud of my achievement and my experience. And it feels amazing. I never thought this was possible. It's such a dream come true. I dreamt to be a world number one, but I never imagined that I would be world number one for 9 years and winning 81 titles and had the best career of my life. So I am truly blessed to have that being the most successful female squash player in history. Tony Atos Buble. Throughout your time on the tour, who is or was the best joker out of the players you spend time with? We have a couple of jokers, but I think Tesney Evans is one of those few that I really like. It's just the happiest person on the sidelines. She always has a smile on her face, and she always has something funny to say, and with a cute face. She's just cracking up jokes all the time. So I think she's one of the few that really is the joker out there. But she has the biggest heart, and love her to bits. So many. I'm a huge fan. What else would you have done if you weren't a squash player? Daniela Arcon. Sorry if I spelled pronounce your name wrong. Hi, I'm a huge fan. What else would you have done if you weren't a squash player? I would have probably played another sport. I would be an athlete for sure. Whether it's a racket sport or athletics. I think those will be the few things that I will do if I wasn't a squash player. But if it's not a sport, I would be something involved with design. I love art. I love to design. I like creativity and drawing. So maybe I'll be in either industrial design or doing interior designing. So that probably be the things that I would do. All right. Okay, Faisal Shaheen. Why are the Egyptians dominating the game of squash, and how do you think other countries can catch up and start beating them at their game? Yeah, I think you realize that the Egyptian dominance in the game is so prominent, but you have to be in Egypt to see why it's so powerful. I went to Egypt many times, and I've seen the kids that are involved with squash. Every club you go to, you have by the hundreds of kids coming in, playing tournaments, having fun, learning squash, and all the coaches there giving them assistance. But also the biggest thing they have is they also have their world champions in at their doorstep. They get to watch them play. They get to visualize even from 5 6 years old that to play like a world champion, this is how you do it. So I think that is the biggest asset that Egypt has, that every single town, every club you go to, you have a world champion in your club. What you're watching them, aspiring to be them, and they want to do whatever it takes to become a world champion and world number one because it looks so good, so powerful, and that's what they have. And they train when they are 5 6 years old. I've seen them so talented, all pushing each other. They're having age group events from under 9, under 11s to push forward, and I think that's what other countries need. They have to create that environment that they have maybe some players come over or have local players that will train with them, and the kids will, and having junior tournaments constantly every week. They have a weekend event for kids, and I think Hong Kong is doing a great job. Malaysia has an amazing crop coming through as well, which is very exciting. But I think that's how the world, if they can emulate that sort of style of what Egypt is doing in the country, then I think more countries will you see different countries coming in the pro tour, definitely. All right. What is what was your biggest setback? From Visvaruban Kumar. What was your biggest setback? My biggest setback would be um, after my world title win in 2005. I I was like thinking that, oh wow, I won my first world title, and I was world number one in 2006. So I got it all, and I really didn't think otherwise. I had a lot of fun. I enjoyed that feeling of being world number one, but I didn't know how to deal with it. So that was a quite a big setback to start my career at world number one and losing almost every single tournament after that because I didn't understand what it takes to be world champion and world number one. I thought I had to be something different. And when I went into tournaments, I wasn't fully prepared. I was too busy having fun and enjoying my world title win. But the biggest learning was when I lost all the tournaments, even the Commonwealth Games gold medal. I lost in that first quarter of the year, and that really hit me hard. But that setback actually turned to something good. I learned very quickly what I needed to do to be world number one, and to be a world champion is to work even harder, and nothing just falls on your lap. You have to make it count. You have to make every day go your way, and that's why I feel that the setbacks are all good things for me, definitely. All right, good question. What is the best way to keep motivation high to train despite many sports being cancelled? So from us has Hannah. Hi, Dato. What is the best way to keep motivation high to train despite many sports events being cancelled? It is a tough time right now, especially everything is being on hold, and the sports world has been hit really bad. And I'm sure a lot of athletes are some of them struggling because they don't know what's going to happen, what's the future going to hold for them, what tournaments going to be up, and when are they going to play a competition. So I think it can get really tough, but being athletes and being sports people, the things that they have are what makes them so strong, so powerful. And I'm sure that they will find ways to train and find solutions to get stronger, get better, because they have an end goal. They want to do well in the tour, and they have a task. So when you have that plan for athletes and for sports people, they are so strong mentally, physically, and emotionally that they will find a way to break down the barriers, and I have faith in them that they will come out stronger and even maybe more hungry to be battling even tougher when when everything comes together. So I do feel for them. I wish them all the best, and I hope that everything will be settled down and that they have their chance to shine again on the competition scene soon. All right. Do you have any advice to increase speed into the front of the court? Umar, but so I have what I do a lot is a lot of ghosting. Ghosting, we underestimate how important ghosting is. Ghosting is just doing the 6-point movement on the squash court, but we sometimes just do the 6 points. We don't actually emphasize on, if we want to do the front court, we do more variations of front court movement activity. So the V movements, but then you do the fast V movement, or you do something that you repeat. You go forward and then you go back again. So you are working on your fast action on the tee. And also, I think we are taught differently with different footwork. Footwork is important. So how you go forward and how you come back using your back foot, you have to strengthen that back foot, because we can go fast forward, but then it's the coming back that is what makes you faster. So learning how to come out of the front fast and faster makes you even faster moving forward. I hope that makes sense. But I work very hard to work on my movement, making sure I come back to the middle fast, because when you are back in position, you're ready to move forward again, ready to move to all different directions. And that's how you can increase your speed to get to those corners faster. All right. Hey, Mitra. Hi. Who do you think is the most entertaining female player in the current circuit? And who's the most troublesome? There are a lot of female players now that are really showing amazing talent. I think the most entertaining female player would be Noral Shabini and Ranim Awalidi. When they actually go head to head, is quite a scene. And just how their flair and their movement, it's like an all-round squash game that you see who's gonna take it on first. And the most troublesome, I don't know which one, but if you see enough SQUASHTV, you know who they are, right? Okay, so that, but yeah, a lot of great talent out there, and I think those are the top two right now. Hanan, you said just now that you love to travel. So if you were given a chance, which country do you want to travel or visit most? I would like to go actually around South America. It's one of my favorite continents to explore. But the first country I would like to go to is Peru, because it's just, I want to see Machu Picchu. I love the food, I love the culture, and I want to discover more of their beautiful nature and scenes that they have. So that's definitely on the top of my list. Sri Rao, my little girl wants to be world champion like you. Oh, that's good. What advice would you give to her? Sri Rao, I would have to say, tell your girl to just go and have fun playing squash. I think the first thing is to just enjoy the game, playing with your friends, having some competition, but at the same time, you have to have fun. And I grew up loving squash, and I dreamt about squash every day was something to look forward to and to see myself improve and get better and get stronger. So I advise her to just enjoy it, play as much as you can, have fun with your friends. But then when you want to take it on to be a professional, then go for it. There's no limits to what you can do. If you see yourself wanting to aspire to be something greater and better, just go for it and just give yourself a shot. There's no harm in trying. All right. Okay. So I'll take a few more questions. And how do you see Malaysian squash developing after your success? From John K. How do you see Malaysian squash developing after your success? I think the Malaysian squash is really growing. We have a crop that has been doing really well in the junior scene, winning some British junior titles, which is considered a world title at their age group levels. So to see them coming through and just talented players. I had an event last year in December, and we round up 130 kids from all over the Malaysia to come on and play with professional players, and myself included, and to see what the talents that we have and what they can do is pretty amazing. And so I know for a fact from under 11, under 13s, under 15s, we have a very strong crop that is coming through. So I'm very excited that what I've done with my success has inspired more kids to take up squash and to see what they can do and fulfill their own potential. Right. If squash never becomes an Olympic sport, might we see you get a gold medal? So from Ian C. Levine, if squash never becomes an Olympic sport, might we see you get a gold medal in dancing? I doubt I will be doing any dance moves in the Olympic Games, and I'm sure maybe it might get there. That sport might get into the Olympics, but no Olympic gold medal for me in dancing, unfortunately. I'll stick to my TikTok and also some of my dance moves on my social media. So maybe check it out. Of some new moves that I could come up with some squash players. So watch out, squash players. I'll come and get you. All right. We'll have maybe 2 more questions, and then but really thanks so much for all your questions. It's been great. Have any tips for juniors who might not be at the top? From Leah Brooke, do you have any tips for juniors who may not be at the top of the game now but are hungry to succeed? What I always like to share with juniors is that they have to just keep playing the game and enjoying it with their friends. And if they don't have, if they are not at the top of their game, it's okay. It's how you want to improve yourself in that little bit every time, and not see too far ahead of like, oh, I'm not getting those titles, I'm not winning those big events. But if you could beat that person that you lost to the last time 3-love, and now you're beating that person, that's already a huge step. And that's how I used to get myself aspiring to get better. I didn't think I would be world junior champion or world champion like overnight. I had some steps that I had to take. For instance, when I was 9 years old, I wanted to just get my drives reaching to the bag, and that was an achievement on its own. So you have small goals to achieve. If you lose to someone before, find ways to maybe get 1 game from them, or maybe get a whole 2 games from them, and then you progress from there. And those are the things that makes you become better, and you will succeed eventually when you have these steps to take. Before you know it, you are winning tournaments, who knows. But don't put too much pressure to be just as good straight away. Take that time and progress in your own terms. No one else can do it for you. You just do it yourself. All right. What is necessary for championships? Squash plays high. 2 questions. What are the attributes, character? Do you use post-match data to improve? Well, okay, there's two from David Bazalar. Hi, Nicole, two questions. What are the attributes, character of the people you keep close to you? That's one. And do you use post-match data to improve your playmaking or identify non-subtle weaknesses? Thank you. Yeah, it's good questions. I think the character that I create around with my team is all people that are willing to put the work in. They are dedicated to the tasks that they are at hand, and also people who are positive. They have a positive energy, approaching things, learning. So my team is made up of my coach, Deserving. I had a sports psychologist. I had a physical trainer. I had a nutritionist. I had also like a physiotherapist. Everybody came in to really and played their role really well. But also, they were all very good people. They had a big heart, and that's what you need. Some like strong, powerful energy that you can just trust and feel at comfort that they are there to help you and support you all the way without any like personal intentions. So I think that's very key. And the second one, did you use post-match data to improve your playmaking? Yes, I used to watch a lot of replays with my matches, and so I can do game analysis on players that I played, what went wrong, what weaknesses did I do, what went on with my mind in those trigger moments, and that's how I could improve myself every time when I go into the next game with that particular opponent, or how do I approach my next matches and keep refining and improving myself. All right. What are your tips for being a small player? Because I am too. You are my role model and I look up to you. Yeah, what are my tips for being a small player? From when I was growing up, everyone was like 2 heads taller than me, but I was fast. So I used my speed to my advantage, but I made a point that even though I'm small, I had a good weapon, and that is to get to everything. And I'm sure you are fast too, but people forget when you're small, you're actually closer to the ground. So you actually have more advantage to get to every shot because you are actually smaller. So use that advantage. And also I used to hide a lot. Even though people may be taller than you, and if you're not strong enough, I used to use the height, maybe lob a little bit more, use that time to gain that middle position. And yeah, just stand your ground. Don't let anyone get into your way. All right. I'll take one last question, and then I will be ending this session, but I'm really loving all the questions. Okay. What is this? Warren McAlpine. What is necessary for the United States to start producing world-class championship squash players? I feel US is really investing so much in their players right now. They're having a lot of major events going on, almost five, 6 ton huge events for the pro tour. And they are also producing great players. You have Amanda Sobey and Sabrina Sobey now leading the path, and you have like the men too that are just getting a lot of support from their country. I taught Harity and everyone coming through, but US Squash is really investing to build a full-on training center that is happening right now, and when they have that up in place, they're going to be recruiting all the juniors, everyone training in one place. So I think that will be huge for US Squash and to produce more top players. And when they see that they are amongst their very best players on the tour training amongst themselves, they are going to gain so much more when they have that facility up and running. So I wish them all the best. All right, so we have done quite a lot of questions. I'll take one last one, and that is, hi, do you like badminton? I do like badminton. Being Malaysia, you have to love badminton because it's our national sport. I used to be glued in front of the TV in Malaysia when it was live matches of the Thomas Cup, all England and our Malaysian guys are going on and fighting their way to get those wins. And also the Olympic Games, we had such amazing players going on, and yeah, I love watching it, but I don't play it. I just play for fun over the fence in my house, and I think that's every childhood in Malaysia used to do that growing up. Well, no, thanks for all of your questions. It's been great sharing with you today on a PSA Squash TV live Facebook session, and I appreciate you hanging out with me, and I look forward to maybe seeing you all in a tournament one day or somewhere in Malaysia. But I wish you all to stay safe at home, keep healthy, keep active, and be compassionate. And I hope to see you soon.